Everything you were taught about hard work is a lie designed to keep you trapped. Your loyalty is a career death sentence. I am about to reveal 12 ruthless maneuvers to exploit the corporate machine, culminating in a shocking endgame that guarantees your absolute, untouchable freedom. Since you were a child, you were fed a magnificent, comforting lie. They looked you dead in the eye and promised that if you kept your head down, worked harder than anyone else, and poured your absolute soul into your craft, the world would eventually reward you. They called it meritocracy. I call it the ultimate trap. Right now, in millions of glass buildings around the world, this exact lie is silently slaughtering the careers of the most brilliant, dedicated people you will ever meet, turning them into disposable gears in a machine built to break them. Before I tear down this illusion and hand you the exact playbook to weaponize your career, hit that subscribe button. Your support is the raw fuel that drives this channel to keep exposing the brutal, unfiltered truths of the business world. Vuong Anaf 02 Main Chow Qui Viva Kak Ban. Welcome to the real world. Now, picture a painfully familiar scene. Let us look at two men sitting in the same office, Jordan and Brett. Jordan is the living, breathing embodiment of a workhorse. He drags himself to his desk at 8 in the morning and does not leave until 10 at night. His eyes are hollowed out by exhaustion, his posture destroyed by the immense weight of carrying his entire team, eating a stale sandwich over a keyboard littered with crumbs. Jordan holds onto a fervent religion, a blind faith that pure effort speaks for itself. He genuinely believes that one beautiful day, the powers that be will tap him on the shoulder, hand him the keys to the corner office, and reward him with the salary he deserves. Then we have Brett. Brett strolls in at 9, casually sipping his iced Americano. You will rarely see him in the building past 5:30 in the afternoon. He notoriously sidesteps every menial, low-impact task thrown his way. But take a wild guess what happens during the annual review? Brett's name is sitting comfortably at the top of the promotion list, accompanied by a massive bonus check that turns Jordan utterly pale. And what about Jordan? His boss does tap him on the shoulder, but only to say he did a great job and needs to keep up the momentum for next year's consideration. Jordan's career is officially dead in the water. So, what exactly does Brett know that Jordan does not? Why does this agonizing injustice echo through the halls of every corporation, from the east to the west? Because the workplace is not your old high school. Hard work, loyalty, and exceptional technical skills are not competitive advantages. They are merely the entry ticket. They just keep you from getting fired. To climb, to seize real power and wealth, you must understand that your career is a ruthless political and economic chessboard. If you only know how to march straight ahead like a mindless pawn, you will inevitably be devoured. Brett did not win because he was lazy or lucky. He won because he operates like a grandmaster. He knows how to position himself, speak the silent language of the decision makers, and aggressively market his value. While Jordan was busy being a good little employee, Brett was running his career like a CEO. It is time to violently strip away the naive mindset of an obedient wage earner. Today, I am going to drop 12 strategic moves, fatal strikes designed to flip the board, pull you out of the trenches, and place you among the puppet masters. These are not feel-good platitudes for the faint of heart. They are pragmatic, razor-sharp, and unapologetically ruthless. Pay close attention, because the final move, move number 12, is the absolute holy grail that will detach you from any system and make you utterly untouchable. Grab a pen. The game begins now. To understand how to execute these moves, we must first shatter the most dangerous habit you possess, your desperate addiction to being reliable. Move number 1 is to intentionally kill the workhorse within you. In the corporate ecosystem, competence is routinely punished with more work, while incompetence is rewarded with reduced expectations. If you flawlessly execute every tedious task handed to you, management will not view you as leadership material. They will view you as an irreplaceable load-bearing wall. You never promote a load-bearing wall, because if you move it, the house collapses. You must stop being the person who catches every falling knife. Let a few unimportant things crash to the floor. By selectively dropping the ball on low-visibility tasks, you reclaim the mental bandwidth required for move number 2, manufacturing relentless, calculated visibility. In the real world, doing excellent work and expecting someone to notice is a strategy for losers. If a tree falls in a forest and nobody tweets about it, it did not happen. You must become your own ruthless public relations firm. Every time you complete a project that moves the needle, you ensure the right eyes see it. You draft the summary email, you CC the higher-ups, and you frame your effort in the language of impact, not effort. Stop talking about how many hours you worked and start talking about the percentages you improved. This leads directly to move number 3, which is the physical migration of your career. You must fiercely navigate away from the cost centers of your company and anchor yourself directly to the profit centers. Look around your office and trace the invisible lines of money. Who is bringing in the revenue? Who is securing the massive client accounts? If your role is purely administrative, defensive, or operational, you are viewed as an expense on a spreadsheet, and expenses are meant to be minimized. But if your fingerprints are on the initiatives that generate capital, you transform from an overhead cost into a profound corporate asset. You have to aggressively volunteer for the messy, high-stakes projects that directly impact the bottom line, even if you feel entirely unqualified for them. The risk is immense, but the corporate world only forgives those who dare to play close to the fire. You cannot remain in the shadows, hoping your quiet dedication will magically translate into wealth. You must forcefully step into the arena of perception, where reality is not what you do, but what people believe you do. Once you have stopped drowning in menial tasks and positioned yourself near the revenue stream, you must immediately turn your attention to the emotional gatekeepers of your success. Move number 4 requires you to fundamentally redefine the relationship you have with your manager. Your boss is not your friend, your parent, or your mentor. Your boss is your primary client. Most naive employees waste years trying to force their managers to recognize their unique brilliance, constantly complaining about how their boss operates. This is a tragic waste of energy. You must analyze your manager like a psychological profile. What are their deepest insecurities? What specific metrics define their annual bonus? What keeps them awake at 2 a.m. in a cold sweat? Once you identify their absolute greatest pain point, you dedicate your existence to solving that one specific problem. When you become the shield that protects your boss from the wrath of upper management, you stop being an employee and become a vital organ they cannot live without. But relying on a single boss is a phenomenal risk, which brings us to move number 5, hunting for sponsors, not mentors. The industry loves to romanticize mentorship, telling you to find a wise older figure to buy you coffee and give you life advice. Advice is cheap. What you need is political capital. A sponsor is someone with heavy institutional power who will aggressively pound the table for you when the promotion doors are closed. They do not just give you advice, they give you their reputation. To win a sponsor, you must identify the true power brokers in your company. The executives who actually make decisions, not just the ones with fancy titles, and you offer them outsized value before asking for absolutely anything in return. You become the secret weapon they call upon when they need something executed flawlessly and quietly. Yet, to have the time to serve these power brokers, you must master move number 6, the strategic refusal. The word no is the sharpest blade in the corporate dictionary, and you must learn to wield it without flinching. Every time you say yes to a dead-end meeting, a meaningless committee, or a vanity project, you are actively stealing time away from the high-impact maneuvers that will build your empire. You must learn to decline requests with a smile, citing your utter devotion to the company's most critical, revenue-generating priorities. You wrap your refusal in the blanket of corporate strategy, making it impossible for them to argue without sounding like they are working against the company's best interests. Guard your time with a vicious intensity, because every minute spent on someone else's agenda is a minute stolen from your own ascent. Having secured powerful allies in the shadows and guarded your most precious resources, it is time to step into the light and violently claim the territory you have earned. Move number 7 is where the weak-hearted usually fold. You must ruthlessly take credit for your victories. We are socially conditioned to be deeply humble, to deflect praise, and to constantly say it was a team effort. This false modesty is a fatal career disease. When you deflect praise, the wolves in your office will happily swallow it whole. When a major triumph occurs, you must look leadership dead in the eye and own it. You can acknowledge the team, but you must permanently anchor your name to the success. If you orchestrated the strategy, you ensure everyone knows whose brain birthed the idea. This is not arrogance. This is sheer survival. If you do not write your own historical narrative in the workplace, someone else will write you out of it entirely. This commanding presence naturally fuels move number 8, the weaponization of scarcity and external demand. In economics, value is entirely dictated by supply and demand. If your company believes you will never leave, that you are a loyal dog who will stay regardless of how poorly you are fed, your value drops to 0. You must cultivate a subtle, lingering aura that you are highly sought after by the outside market. You casually mention industry events you are attending. You maintain a pristine, highly active professional network, and you let it be known that headhunters reach out to you regularly. You never make outright threats. You simply allow the phantom of your potential departure to haunt your manager's mind. When they realize that keeping you requires an active, competitive effort, the budgets for your raises will miraculously unlock. To ensure they cannot simply call your bluff, you must execute move number 9, becoming the operational linchpin. You must identify a critical system, a highly lucrative client relationship, or a complex piece of proprietary knowledge, and you must hoard it. You weave yourself so deeply into the fabric of this essential function that extracting you would cause catastrophic organizational bleeding. You do not do this to be malicious. You do this to build a moat around your career. The moment they realize it would cost them 10 times your salary to replace the institutional knowledge you hold in your head, the balance of power permanently shifts. You are no longer asking for a seat at the table. You own the room where the table sits. You transition from a disposable asset to a structural necessity. However, all the corporate maneuvering in the world is ultimately meaningless if it leaves you forever chained to a desk you do not own, leading us to the final phase of the game. Move number 10 is the realization that loyalty to a corporation is a one-way street leading straight to a cliff. Therefore, you must be in a state of perpetual interviewing. I do not care if you absolutely love your current job and your current boss. The market is entirely devoid of emotion, and the only way to accurately price your worth is to have another company offer to buy it. Interviewing at least twice a year keeps your execution sharp, expands your network, and most importantly, gives you concrete leverage. When you know exactly what the competition is willing to pay you, the fear evaporates. You no longer operate out of a desperate need to keep your job. You operate out of choice. This psychological shift alone alters how you walk, how you speak in meetings, and how aggressively you negotiate. This leads into move number 11, completely abandoning the employee mindset and adopting the mindset of a mercenary consultant. You are not a subordinate serving a master. You are a business of one, Me Incorporated. Your current employer is simply your largest, most demanding client. When you view your job through the cold, calculated lens of a business-to-business transaction, you stop taking office politics personally. You stop feeling betrayed when the company makes a ruthless decision, because you expect businesses to act like businesses. You trade your services for capital, experience, and network growth. The moment the transaction ceases to be wildly profitable for your personal growth trajectory, you sever the contract and take your enterprise elsewhere. And now, we arrive at the absolute apex. Move number 12. The Holy Grail. All the previous 11 steps are designed to make you powerful within the system, but move 12 is designed to detach you from the system entirely. You must build your personal monopoly. As long as one single corporation signs your entire paycheck, they own your life. To achieve true, untouchable freedom, you must build leverage that exists outside the walls of your employer. This means aggressively building your own audience, cultivating a powerful personal brand, or quietly constructing an equity-generating side business that slowly replaces your corporate income. You take the immense skills, the ruthless strategies, and the capital you have extracted from the corporate world, and you pour them into an empire that bears your own name. When you possess walk-away power, when you can look a CEO in the face, reject their demands, and walk out the door knowing your financial life will not skip a single beat, you have won the game. You are no longer a pawn. You are no longer even a grandmaster playing on someone else's board. You own the board. The illusion of meritocracy has been shattered. The playbook is now in your hands. Do not just survive the machine. Exploit it, drain it of its value, and use it to build your absolute freedom. To truly conquer the corporate ecosystem, you must shed the naive belief that hard work and blind loyalty naturally result in success. The modern workplace is not a meritocracy. It is a complex game of perception, leverage, and calculated positioning. By refusing to be the dependable workhorse who absorbs endless menial tasks, you free up the necessary bandwidth to manufacture high-impact visibility and anchor yourself directly to the profit centers of your company. You must stop viewing your manager as a mentor or friend, and instead treat them as your primary client, solving their deepest insecurities while simultaneously securing powerful institutional sponsors who can actually propel your career forward. True power, however, requires a level of tactical ruthlessness. You must unapologetically take credit for your victories, weaponize your scarcity by making it known you are highly sought after by the market, and hoard critical knowledge so you become an operational linchpin. Yet, ascending the corporate ladder is merely a stepping stone. The ultimate endgame is not to become the most valuable employee, but to operate as a mercenary consultant. Me Incorporated. By constantly interviewing to test your market value and using your corporate gains to build an external business or personal brand, you transition from a disposable asset to an untouchable entity. The ultimate goal is absolute freedom, possessing the walk-away power that comes from building your own personal monopoly, allowing you to stop playing on someone else's board and finally own the game entirely. The lesson: your career is not a family, a loyalty test, or a moral obligation. It is a strict business-to-business transaction. You are the CEO of your own life and your own talent. Allowing a single corporation to hold a monopoly over your income and your identity is the greatest financial and psychological risk you can take. Start by auditing your daily output. Identify one low-visibility, high-effort task and strategically begin to phase it out of your routine this week. Next, trace the money in your organization and find one way to attach your name to a project that directly impacts revenue. Shift your mindset immediately during your next one-on-one with your boss. Stop looking for validation and start treating them like a client with a specific problem you need to solve. Finally, dedicate at least 3 hours this weekend to building your leverage outside of your 9-to-5, whether that means updating your resume to test the market, expanding your professional network, or laying the foundation for a side business. What is one low-value task you can strategically step away from this week to free up time for your real goals? Please share your thoughts and answer in the comments section below so our community can exchange ideas and learn from each other's perspectives. If you found this strategy valuable, please hit the subscribe button to support the channel and give us the motivation to bring you more powerful, high-impact content.